Right, we should be live, guys. Should be live. Took us a little longer than expected, but it's all good. We're here now, and it's PFL. MacDonald versus Millender, the full card weigh-in recap, predictions, and the betting preview. First fight on this card, we're going to get into it. Light heavyweight division, Martin Hamlet takes on Dan Spawn. If you don't know Dan Spawn, he's an Ultimate Fighter veteran. Hamlet, difficult wrestler, a guy that definitely has the offensive game to pose some problems to Dan Spawn. I was surprised at the height being the same when they were listed as different heights, and it was actually said that Spawn was the taller man of the two by 2 inches. Doesn't seem to be any taller than his opponent here. I apologize for any lag. MMA Junkie's website is ad heaven. Definitely loaded up with the ads on the page. If it lags out too much, just let me know in the live chat. Fix it up. That's the face-off. The pick is the same. Hamlet decision. I think he's going to pose some serious problems on the mat with Dan Spawn. Spawn is going to struggle to deal with that grappling game here. And I think it's going to be a wrestling-heavy attack, which will lead to victory for Martin Hamlet. Slowly go down. We don't lag anything out here because the ads are aplenty here. Nikolai election. Sabido Sai. Wow. Do you see that height difference? How insane is that height difference? That's something to note. That's going to be serious when this fight begins. That's seriously in favor, obviously, of the taller man. I feel like that's scary having that much of a height difference. I mean, I will say election can definitely mix it up with striking. Sabido Sai also can strike well. He is the taller man by a very good amount here, and it's going to be very tricky for election to get inside. Still, I do believe you're going to see election work to a grappling heavy game. Even though he's a pretty well-known striker, in this game I think it's going to be grappling. He's going to look for the takedowns continuously throughout this fight, and I think we see the grappling heavy approach lead to victory for election. But man, if I'm a betting man, I'm being very cautious with that. Quickly jump over to best fight odds. See here. We can find the odds for this fight. Right. Vito Sai Martin Hamlet plus 230 minus 270. So at plus 230 and minus 270, it's going to be a very interesting matchup. I don't love a bet. I mean, would I want to throw money down at that minus for a guy that much shorter? Probably not. I personally wouldn't go out there and take that level of risk. I think be smarter here. Stick with skipping the bet on this one. That height difference could definitely be a serious problem potentially for our man election here. He's good. He definitely is good, but I don't know. I don't like the idea of betting on a guy that much shorter than the opponent. The odds are widespread in his favor. Sabito Sai also has a 17-second win over David Makad before. So I gotta say, live dog, tricky dog, not a guy I would want to throw money against. So I would skip the bet, but election should win by a decision. That height difference, it's definitely notable. Gonna get to the face-off here. Nick Roherich and Cezar Fajeda. One thing I'll say about Cezar Fajeda, he looks huge. I've never seen him look this muscular. He's put on a ton of size since coming over to PFL. He's at 205 now. That's something to note. I like the idea of him winning this fight. I think he's probably going to do so with a superior game in the clinch as far as the striking goes. I picked Nick Roherich earlier in the week thinking he'd be the bigger man, but it looks like Cezar Fajeda is having a Vitor Belfort type transformation. You know what I'm saying? You know. And I think we're going to see Cezar Fajeda get the win. I think potentially a TKO here. I'm going to switch my pick from Roherich, who I thought was going to be the bigger man, to the obviously bigger man, Cezar Fajeda here. He should win this. I think he could get a submission or a knockout here. Nick Roherich, I don't think he goes down easy by any means, though. I mean, he is a definitely live fighter here and was one of the dog pickups. He was a plus 160 to the minus 185 favorite, Cezar Fajeda. I like the idea of the Nick or rather of the Cezar Fajeda win in this one over Nick Roherich. Also, we didn't talk about that first fight. Let me quickly just tell you, at minus 140, there's some value on Hamlet, but I don't love the bet. And now Asgar Mozar. This guy, have you heard of this guy? No, you have not. You haven't heard of him yet, but you're gonna 14 knockouts out of, I think he has, how many fights? These guys got into it at the face-off here. Let me see how many fights. I have his Tapology pulled up right on screen. 23-7, 14 knockouts. He's an animal. He's a finisher. Spinning back kicks. Just a history of devastating results. This guy is very dangerous to deal with. And I don't think by any means this is an easy fight at all. This is Jordan Young. You'd think he'd be getting a step down in competition with the short notice replacement. I don't know. This guy potentially could be a step up. It's going to be a tricky threat to deal with. A guy that's in your face like this, a guy that unloads dangerous strikes, is very dynamic with the kickboxing. I don't know if I'm crazy for saying, I just have a feeling Asgar Mozarev on short notice, his stars might be aligning, and I think he might get the knockout of Jordan Young. There's no odds as of yet released on this fight. They might be tomorrow. I'll be doing a live stream. Maybe I'll be able to catch this PFL fight and start on the undercard. I'll see what time I start the stream at. But he might be worth a bet if the odds are widespread enough, because he looks like an animal. Jordan Young's very good on the ground. I don't know. It's a tricky fight to pick here, but I think Asgar could potentially get the knockout in this one, to be honest. Short notice replacement. Tom Lawler, Antonio Carlos Jr., ACG. Carlos Jr. looks in very good shape for this fight. Much better than we'd seen lately. I think he, at 205, is going to be more substantial factor. Most definitely. I don't like the way this is lagging out. I totally apologize, man. MMA Junkie is loading us up with some ads off screen here. Antonio Carlos Jr., he's the better grappler of the two. Tom Lawler, good fighter, OG fighter. But you're going to see Antonio Carlos Jr. get this thing to the ground. He's going to start working his game from there. He should be able to get the win by submission, probably in the first or second round here. This is Carlos Jr.'s fight, without a doubt. I think he dominates an aging Tom Lawler. You're talking about the odds for this one. Let's pull them up. Antonio Carlos Jr. minus 325. Tom Lawler plus 265. 8 prop bets available. Let's see what's available. Junior win inside the distance, minus 125. Yeah, it's about a lock. He's choking out Lawler. I don't see it going any other way. All right, let's get to the next fight. Emiliano Sordi and Chris Camozzi. This fight right here is really between two guys in opposing positions. We'll quickly look at the odds. Camozzi at plus 270, Sordi at minus 330. That is justified. Sordi is the champion in 2019. He's a killer with the striking. He's very good on the ground. You look at Camozzi, a guy that has won 1 fight out of his past 5, I believe, and that fight was a win against Tony Lopez, who's not at Sordi's level. Sordi's going to dominate. I think he gets the win here. I think he does so inside the distance. I could see a knockout potentially. Could also see maybe a decision happening between these two. But either way, I think Sordi winning the fight is the outcome and the most realistic one for sure here. Next fight, Gleison Tibau, Joao Zeferino. Zeferino and Tibau should be an interesting fight between both of these two. Zeferino, very good on the ground. Tibau, very good on the ground. Tibau moving up to 170. He looks jacked, as does Zeferino. It's hard to pick against Zeferino. I'm going to pick him by unanimous decision over Tibau. Both guys on weight. Everybody made weight for the card, which is excellent for PFL. I'm going Zeferino getting the win. I think he's going to do it, and I think he does it probably by unanimous decision here. It's disappointing we see Vinny and Magalhaes taken off the card for Asgar earlier. Ray Cooper III and Jason Ponet. Jason Ponet, he can strike. He's a tricky fighter on the feet. He's coming in here against Ray Cooper III, who's coming off the championship win in 2019. It's going to be a tricky fight to deal with for Jason Ponet. I think Ray Cooper goes out there and puts on a good performance. And also, guys, if you have not yet, make sure you smash that like button and subscribe to the channel before we get into this main event. Help us out, grow the channel bigger. If we can get, let's say, 30 likes on this video, that would be the goal. 30 likes. on the video. So if you guys can do that, it'd be much appreciated. I appreciate all of you for tuning in. Ray Cooper the third minus 700. Jason Ponet plus 500 at minus 700. I don't love a bet on Ray Cooper. Maybe you parlay him, maybe you don't. I don't love the idea of it. Personally, wouldn't, but I know people will. That's just how it goes. He'll be parlayed up, and he should be an absolute lock. There should be no chance of a loss here for his opponent. I just don't see it happening. I think it's going to be 100% one-way fight between these two. Apologize again if there's any type of lag that happened. Having some connection technical delays here. I probably blame the ads on this freaking website, to be honest. But all right, next fight of the night is the main event. Rory MacDonald, Curtis Millender. Fight here, welterweight division. Millender looks in excellent shape. He's bigger than Rory MacDonald physically, which was expected, right? We expected Curtis to be bigger by just a bit. And in this fight here, I gotta be honest, I definitely start to favor Curtis size-wise. Could be potential threat. Let's look at the odds. Right now, plus 335, minus 420. Rory MacDonald is a strong favorite, but the way his body looks, I don't love it. I think it's high risk. I think that he's in a legitimate fight here. I think he could struggle against Curtis Millender, but I do think Rory comes home with a hard-fought unanimous decision. Stylistically, it's a good matchup. You have a guy with a very good chin in Curtis Millender versus a guy with very good overall skills and offensive ability in Rory MacDonald. I do think MacDonald goes out there victorious, gets the W. And I appreciate the positive comment, the content monster. Bro, that's me. We're posting as much content as we can. Smash the likes if you have not already, guys. I'm going to go more into a betting portion of the video. We just quickly ran through the weigh-in recap, but I just want to talk like deeper on bets, ideas, and whatnot. And honestly, this MMA Junkie website is lagging the shit out of the stream, so I want to exit out and not fuck up the video here. Apologize for the French if you're sensitive to it, but we got to talk about some bets, some money to make, because of course with PFL there's high risk, high reward, there's some crazy dogs, there's opportunity throughout the board to succeed and make yourself a little dinero. Millender, KO or bust? You want to do the Millender KO prop? Let's check out what Millender's worth by a KO. If Millender has value by a KO at plus 700, I'd throw something down. But I wouldn't say it's likely. You look at Rory, gone the distance with a good amount of fighters. He's been there, done that, fought the best in the world, former champion. You look at Curtis Millender, he lost to Sabah Homasi in the last time out. I don't love a bet on Curtis. I think he's live as far as on the striking goes, but I don't think he has enough to beat Rory. I think he can maybe even edge out a round, but still don't love the idea of a bet on him. If you want to throw something down, throw it moderately or mildly. Don't go bet the house on a knockout prop. For Rory, though, I do think he gets a hard-fought decision in this fight. I think that's more the way it's going. I don't think Rory's chin is shot just yet. I think that Rory can still take a punch. He did go the distance with Lima in that fight. I feel like against Millender, Rory should win. But at the end of the day, if you want to bet on chance, I will bring up this point that's very valid. Guys in the PFL or guys anywhere that were once in either Bellator, UFC, whatever, high-level league, they have some hard fights, some losses. They've been losing lately. You saw Anthony Pettis get beat up. So I feel like it is a factor to note. We could see Rory get upset by Curtis. There's all possibilities. But I do think Rory should be a lock. There should be a level difference. I think Rory is a top contender. At one point, Rory was a top UFC contender. Curtis never made it close to being a contender, really. So let's parlay it up. Let's say we want to throw money on Rory. Let's say, for the hell of it, we also put it on Ray Cooper. Do you want to go 3 in a row at minus 119? I feel like you'd probably be nervous for that. I think that would be more of a risk. Who's a dog that's worth throwing on? At this point, the odds have slightly shifted. Dogs are no longer dogs. And now there's favorites throughout. It's a very weird week. I just have a weird feeling with PFL that there could be some upsets here. Who knows? Plus 143 for these three. I think this is a safer parlay right here. MacDonald, Cooper the third, and Martin Hamlet. You look earlier in the week, we had some good dogs, but I mean, did you see Cezar Fajeda? How much bigger he was than Roherich? I totally swayed my pick. I was putting Roherich down. I was ready to bet, but I'm nervous. I still think that Roherich could be live. We'll see when they get in the clinch. My concern will be in the clinch that there will be some difficulty for Nick Roherich. Cezar Fajeda could potentially get his back, could trip him. He does weird things. Antonio Carlos Jr. is a lock, I would say. I would say if we want to play with locks, true lock, Antonio Carlos Jr. is probably one of the safer picks. So let's do what I feel are some locks of the night. Let's see what we can do here. So we can get it to plus 217 with these locks. You feel like maybe a dog comes through. I wish you could bet on the Asgar Mozar fight. He just recently replaced Vinny Magalhaes. He's definitely going to be a dog, and I think he can get the knockout of Jordan Young. We'll see what that would be worth. Let's say he was a plus 200. You could get it 947 if you added Mozar in, if he opens up around the plus 230 range. These are a 4-5 parlay that can definitely deliver for you, but if you're a guy that wants to bet the juicy dogs, you want to throw some money on dogs because there was a lot of dogs earlier in the week, but now, I mean, the odds have shifted in the way that was somewhat expected. But let's check out some dogs with some possibility. Who is a dog that has a chance? Definitely Curtis Millender would have a chance more than some of these dogs. I don't think Ponette or Camozzi have much of a chance. I think Millender has a chance at plus 335. Gleison Tibau at plus 130. He's in the fight. Sabito Sai at plus 230. He's definitely in the fight. This fight here is not there. We're not going to talk about this one. Nick Roherich at plus 160 was live. This Antonio Carlos Jr. fight is an absolute lock. It should be a domination, and I think that Hamlet getting the win. So realistically, it leads me time and time again to the same parlay, but do I want to take more of a risk and add in Sordi plus 313, 5-5 parlay, Martin Hamlet, Antonio Carlos Jr., Ray Cooper III, Rory MacDonald, and Emiliano Sordi. As of right now, those are really, that might be the only parlay I'm liking. If I have to throw a live dog, I'm putting Roherich at the plus 975, but he just did not look good at weigh-ins. I'm worried that you're going to see Cezar Fajeda destroy him here. And I think there's a high possibility of it. And honestly, just for fun, since we're sitting here hanging out, I want to try out a crazy parlay. Yeah, definitely, man. Tom Lawler's way too small. He's not going to fare well against Carlos Jr. See if we can, if we did this, what value? This is so stupid and risky. I'm not saying anybody do this. It's all favorites, which, I mean, how often does that deliver, especially with PFL? Minus, or rather plus 1,354 if you threw down all the picks here. I really want to see the Asgar Mozarov fight, or Asgar Mozarov. I want to see the odds for that because I think that guy might be the dog of the week. If the odds tomorrow open up and you see Asgar Mozarov at more than a plus 300, put a little something down on him, especially a knockout prop bet. Put something down on that. Prop bets in these, I'm liking the, if you want to take the risk on a Millender knockout, the odds are very widespread. You could do so. You could potentially bet Sordi inside the distance. I do like that bet. Sordi wins inside the distance is a minus 165. I don't love betting down like that for that fight. I wouldn't bet it, but I do think it is a lock. Nick Roherich and Cezar Fajeda, no props available, unfortunately. They limit us on the props. If you look at this, under 1.5 minus 150, over 2.5 plus 125. Junior inside the distance at minus 125. I wish they had him by submission because I'd throw something down on that because that will definitely be an option. If this fight had a prop bet, Hamlet and Dan Spawn, I would do Hamlet by a decision or just fight goes the distance. Overall, this is a tricky betting card. You're taking a risk. There's going to be some weird fights. It's PFL. There was weird action last week. I bet it continues with more weird action. Asgar is definitely going to be physically strong, man. He looks like an animal. I will not be surprised if Rory goes grappling heavy. If you're in here right now, though, smash the like button, guys. We're talking about the PFL betting. We're looking through the card. We looked over the weigh-ins. What did we see? Overall, for me, what I saw is one switch of pick because we did have Nick Roherich over Cezar Fajeda. Shocked to see how much physically bigger Cezar Fajeda wasn't Nick Roherich, the natural 205er. It was a serious difference. That swayed the pick. The other picks have stayed the same. We did have some short notice stuff, and that changes it up. And the game has now changed up. I mean, it's not the same picks as earlier in the week because the odds have shifted so drastically, man. And the fights have changed. It's just a wild week. Asgar does look jacked, man, but Choi B, which you just said, I can't legally comment on, but maybe. That's all I'm saying. I don't know. You're doing a parlay of Strickland, Loma, Rory, Cooper, and Tony at plus 206. Yeah, if you're cross parlaying UFC with PFL, there's definitely possibilities. Just be smart with your PFL bets, guys, because honestly, crazy shit happens with the PFL. Overall, we'll look through one last time. This is Asgar Maharov's fight here. That is not his record. He's not coming off losses. For some reason, Tapology glitches out and brings up Eddie Wineland's record. But let's just look at Maharov. This guy took the fight on short notice, is the alternate. He replaces Vinny Magalhaes. Win over Ivangi Goop, Fabrice Digland, Konstantin Link. He did lose to Christian Torres, Edgar de Souza. He could lose here by submission. He has lost a fair amount of fights by submission, 7 of them. Wait a second, that's wins. I apologize. He's won by submission 7, but 4 of his 7 losses are by submission. So if a submission specialist like Jordan Young could catch him, it's definitely possible. I don't mind, even though I'm feeling like he could win this fight and win by upset. If there was a prop available, I'd love to see the prop bets for that fight. But overall, we have a pretty good card. I think if I have to pick what's going to be the best fight on the card, I want to pick one. I'm in the mood to throw one down. What do I think will be the best fight on the card? I feel like it's this one. Asgar, Mozarov, and Jordan Young. Maybe second best fight on the card turns out to be Rory and Curtis Millender. I don't know. I do see Sordi getting a dominant win over Camozzi as well, which should be pretty entertaining. Overall, though, decent card with PFL. Excited to see them back in action. Make sure you guys smash that like button and subscribe to the channel if you have not already. I appreciate everybody for tuning in. If there's any lag throughout earlier parts of the video, I sincerely do apologize. We're doing the live stream, and we didn't have the images saved, so we had to use the website. But smash the likes, subscribe, follow my social media, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. That's pretty much it. Hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know in the comments what you guys thought of my predictions, what you think of the betting odds. Are you betting PFL too? Because it is a risk. Last week, there was some crazy stuff that happens, and there's definitely more potential for craziness. But all right, guys, that is it. I will see you all tomorrow for the PFL Live Fight Companion. Peace.